the original work of the autobiographical novel 10 Years of Marriage by Su Qing, a female writer in the Republic of China. Chapter 16 Victorigran Motor Danger Datter War is over. The Japanese surrender. Read in a new autumn morning. Wang Ma suddenly came to report to me. In recent times, I have often heard news about testing peace. However, it always disappoints. The sound of airplanes filled the sky again. Where does peace come from? So I stretched myself, get out of bed slowly. Don't want to answer what Wang Ma said. Go straight into the bathroom with the newspaper under your arm. The news is printed in eye-catching large character. Severing is just as Wang Ma said. The war is over. The enemy surrendered. Will no longer be afraid of bombing. So if you want to land a life, you will be safe again. With exciting news, he hurriedly walked up to the third floor with the newspaper under my arms. Ian is already up. He is folding the quilt. He said the wise battle is over. The Japanese really surrender. Ian was confused and seemed put. Lady handed him the newspaper. Look at him carefully, reading every word. Then he raised his hands and made a show of saying, "Get ahead, we finally have such a day, you can come forward now." I said happily, "It's so good, Zian. You can try to find something to do now. It's a shame that I advised you to wait." Oh, there was Ian's outstretched hand dropped, looking at Mezade coldly. "But what about you? Are you also planning to flee with the Prime Minister?" I suddenly felt angry. Has been relying on me to support his whole family for a year. Now he says such words. Ungrateful man, you don't want to think about whose strength you relied on to avoid falling into the water. Besides, you are not really patriotic. But I guess it's not worth it. So how long are you willing to wait? Wowie, am I so stupid? I only make plans for Othersi, don't even know how to think about it for myself. What will happen to Prime Minister Kim and the others? Zhao Rigua went to Nanjing some time ago. Does he have a problem too? Mr. Qi and Mrs. Qi are still in Shanghai. Though they feel sorry for the country, you really didn't feel sorry for my hope to visit them on Sexian saw me silent. Then he sneered from the side and said that it was like this. Do you still cherish the past? I swear to die for my confidante. Don't even want to wait for him to finish. He quickly ran downstairs. Freshen up a little. I actually went to the China newspaper office to find Lu Sichen and Pan Zimai. The entrance to the newspaper office is heavily guarded. He walked in. Both Lupin and Lupin are not here. Only Fan Kishi, with a frown on his face, was chatting secretly with a man with a triangular face. I sit down on the sofa. Fan Kishi then came closer and said to Methis, "Mr. Fu was sent by Mr. Zheng Li, who wants to accept this newspaper. Our underground workers can keep us." Safi nodded. Inexplicably thought to myself, isn't it the same with Zhen Lai? Why can he come to receive reports from others? What is underground work? It sounded totally baffling to me at the time. It's always a big thing when you think about it. Then he nodded and said to him, "Has Lu Sichen been here today? I think you'd better discuss it with them." Just as I was talking, the man named Mr. Fu also came over, holding a mimeographed form in hand. He said to me, "Is this the famous Miss Su? There will be many opportunities for the government to use you in the future. But your masterpiece was published and occupied a respite. Fill out the form. No, it's all a matter of procedure. It doesn't matter." He won't answer for now. He just took the form out of curiosity and took a closer look. Oh my god, the name is the questionnaire for rebellious elemental things appropriate to heaven. In addition to name, place of origin, age, etc. There are also female enemies who go through a process with. Womani couldn't help but sneered and handed the form back to him. And Sadie have never returned to the enemy, nor have I done anything unpleasant. Why do you need to fill out this form? He kept explaining that no Fan Kishi is afraid that my words will offend him. He hurriedly persuaded me to say, "Miss Sui, do you have to worry about it literally? Anyway, if you are willing to fill out one Zheng will definitely help you." He said, "Mr. Zheng, shouldn't he fill it out himself? What qualifications does he have to ask me to fill it in?" Fan Kishi almost cried us. If disaster is just around the corner, help the clothes and go to the door. Then he turned around and said to him, "Mr. Fan, please think about it carefully. Wanli Jianshan a little ink. It would be better if Lin Biao was crying and confused. Go to the road." He saw piles of cheering crowds. He look up at the sky. The green color seems to symbolize security and peace. I hope planes never come to bomb again. In the past, life and property were not guaranteed. Everything is stable now. I want to be a good person, work hard to write articles back home. Xian has gone out, didn't come back until drunky. Remember what I said in the morning? Just ignore him, he said to me seriously. Waking, I want to discuss something with you. He still look a little angry. I said, among your friends there some very rich? If they have money, what does it have to do with you? He led this as a dialim, their bodyguard. Do you have any path? He said you don't need to worry about this. As long as they are willing to obediently donate the money, let them suffer the guilt if you want. Use their money for committing crimes. Will I still be guilty? Selene shuddered secretly. It took me a while to find the word said you were drunk. Go to bed early. A few days passed. His cousin Xiaoguang is back me apartment on Lencian Road because watching quietly after the illness you, Sean said, I will temporarily live in Xiaoguang and explain that I don't need any reward as long as he pays the rent I owe to the owner of the apartment. That's all. Later he drank and gambled in my room. Any utensils and food were broken. Lost is lost for the sake of Sean. Don't care about him either. Finally he ran out of money, still owe a lot of debt naturally. I don't have the energy to pay for the rent. Just quietly force yourself into the nearby free zone. Without notifying my forgive him Abe. It's necessary to keep a secret. He only paid off half of the rent he owed. The room can be taken back for personal use. Unexpectedly, he made peace halfway through. Knew one of Chief Hu's staff. He actually also accepted the troop she who came with me to glory. Some me don't mention walking away from each other. If you still owe rent money, just ask me for the key to the room. He said, sorry, I'm going to live in this room by myself. He said, wouldn't it be nice for you to live here? I laughed. Du Haiyan didn't seem to understand my situation very well. I can't drag him down, so I wanted to be moved back. He just doesn't believe I'd. In fact, it is very convenient for me to take over a house now. He proudly told me that I live in your room. I'm just protecting some property for you. I sneered and said, no need. He angrily turned to talk to Sean. It's nothing more than when they came to Shanghai to be majestic along the way and planning how to extort some money from relatives and friends who have some problems. I just feel chilled when I hear it. So he decided to separate from Thempsy and said these books of yours should be burned, right? I refused to say yes. If you think there is something wrong with my book, he can move them out. If you think there's something wrong with my people too, he'll just move out together. He has no intention of staying at all. That's when I negotiated with him. He want to take my children with me. He doesn't follow the Tate divorce document, clearly stipulates that the child belongs to me. He never wants to think about it again. This is how I fed them for a year. My tears flowed down. It turns out that people can be so indifferent to black and white. I got divorced because he abandoned methods. Why I have to sell my writing to survive during this period. Does this count as sin? He spent all his money because of his nonsense. Depend on me to maintain only then can I live to this day. So there is no need to look for things to do during this hiatus. This considered noble or worthy of the country? How stupid am I? Why do I have to make a living on my own? Find a random men tell men to do evil things. See only enjoy Minetto this day. Haven't I still maintained my nobility and virtue? Victory is not yours ready to eat in occupied areas. But you are a trickster who makes other people work hard to make money to support you. Victory will never belong to you, a literary and artistic author who has worked hard to write tens of thousands of words, a mother who works hard to feed her 3 children. What can I do to the country? I went abandoning everything in panic. It took a lot of tongue and lip work. Only the youngest, Yuan, and her old mother were brought out way live in an apartment on Lencian Road. Sad day. Suddenly I went to Dolly's apartment. There are 3 notes in Sadia. It turned out to be Zhao Rigua came to see me 3 times. Never found he had no choice but to escape by himself. In the vast world of human beings we may not meet again. Thinking about it, I feel sorry for him. How gentle he is to Mazo Goody. Think of that day when we parted. Agolini am only thinking about the Kuldreni. Think he's too troublesome and long-winded to give him his love for meal. Ignored how sad it was for him. Yes, he was not able to officially divorce and marry me. That's the only place where he feels sorry for me. However, his love for me is probably 10,000 times more than his love for his wife. He is sorry. Those who want to be comforted often tell me, why King don't think that a man with a family is living here with you. I went home in the middle of the night to spend time with my wife again. Please know that I am here to love you with all my heart. I was exhausted when I got home. Where can I find the time to deal with my wife? Divorce is not an ideal thing. Men have social status. There will be obstacles or difficulties in every movie. As long as you can forgive me for this, we have never forgiven him. He thought again of Prime Minister Kim, who helped me during my hardships. He is a compassionate man. I think I used to think about returning his 100,000 yuan. Just no chance. Maybe it will never happen again. How uneasy it makes me. It allows people to repent to him. However, humans rarely have this kind of sympathy for people who come out of prison still often go back to prison. A repeat offender has been in jail 25 times. Ask him if he is prepared to repent in the future. He said, what if he regretted it? I am someone who doesn't feel ashamed, just hate bad luck, just try it out. There are few people in society who do not break the law just being informed or not. It's just luck and misfortunes. Spamming checks is also a form of formality. However, recent business habits, it's just a matter of taking the money to exchange it for one. Who is really willing to go to court? In the presence of a benevolent enforcer, those who commit crimes will shed tears. Driving department. He had no choice but to suffer the torture silently to avenge his loyal people. Literary men always obfuscate integrity. I also think of Lu Sichen, Pan Zimai and other Seaver. Since I lived in Lin Luxian's home at FD seemed to be far more distant from each other. They also know about my relationship with Zhao Riguo. I just thought I admired his talent, and Poeri never thought he actually treated me so well. I heard that Mrs. Lu recently raised another child. That's because I aroused the passion in her husband, but her husband never dared to be interested in me. As a result, I had to vent my anger on my wife. Poor coward, called it be that even such a cowardly person cannot be exempted from involvement? Finally, I thought about Mr. Qi and Mrs. Qi, who stayed in Shanghai. How are they doing? I must go to see their house on Sanlong Road. Half due to concern, half of it is out of curiosity. A small fort has been built in front of their house. Armed men come and go. Faces are all unfamiliar. I'm scared. It's so easy to explain why I'm healthy. Let me in. Mer. Qi and Mrs. Qi are both in the sitting room. Desert TD. Think of the prosperity of the past. Everything is in the past. Thou sad will this strange hero be in his heart? He was flipping through the book boredly, saw me calming, smiling and nodding to me. How are you doing? He asked gently. Said it's okay. But did anyone bully you? I shook my head. He slowly walked into the window, looking up at the long white cloud sea. Suddenly felt something in my heart. Explain. It's very lively outside lately, right? I said yes. Oh, Mrs. Qi invited my table mates to eat. Food is as good as ever. It's just that everyone has something on their mind. So nothing to say. Mer. Qi's hands kept shaking. There seems to be something wrong. There is only a little rice. After he finished eating, he asked for ice water. He couldn't help but look up at him. He smiled and said, it doesn't matter. My chest feels a little tight, and asked me if there is anything else I can do to help you. For example, in terms of economics. He felt very sad after hearing this. Thinks the world is full of snobs. Are you unwilling to come unless you want to borrow money? Mrs. Qi thought I was embarrassed to speak. Just say what you want. We are all willing to agree. Now, he is a friend in need today. We are somewhat richer than you, may need to ask you to help us in the future. I know. He also completely misunderstood. He just think his words are very miserably. It almost made me cry. At this time, Commander Zhang and another armed soldier also came in. I know. Commander Zhang. Now I heard that he has officially surrendered. The other soldier is one I have never seen before. Mer. Qi introduced it to me. Can't remember his name. Etheri only heard Mr. Qi smiling and telling them that she was a kind woman. It was already very unfortunate. Please take care of me if anything happens in the future. I think Mr. Qi used to be a man who was sure of everything. Say this today. Maybe he already knew his future destiny in his heart. It's almost dusk, said with Amitai, and I bid them farewell and came out. Finally, I heard these sentimental and painful words from Heimel people. From now on, I never have the chance to meet you again. Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.